We continue to discuss Joe Biden's historic Democratic vice presidential running mate, California Senator Kamala Harris, the first woman of color on a major party ticket, as we examine her record as a prosecutor in California, when she proudly billed herself as top cop and called for more cops on the street. In 2004, Harris became district attorney of San Francisco. She held the post until 2011, when she became the Attorney General of California.
I worked with her on policy issues. So I was deputy public defender when I met her, and she came to the office as a deputy DA or an assistant DA. But then thereafter, when she became the district attorney and got elected, we worked on policy issues. We were opponents. We were adversaries. So you're right in that respect. As far as the work that she did with regard to policy, she did the Criminal Justice Center. She formalized and implemented the Behavioral Health Court, which became a national model for mental health treatment and wraparound services. She also did Back on Track, which is a youth court, a youth adult court for 18 to 24-year-olds. She brought in Latifah Simon to implement that program to get kids out or young adults out of the criminal justice system without a conviction. There were so many policies and so many alternatives to incarceration. These are just a few. So it just surprised me that there was this spin out there in this narrative that she wasn't progressive. She was the most progressive prosecutor in California. And people say, well, that doesn't mean she's necessarily progressive. My argument is she absolutely was.
Sure. The concerns I laid out had to do with her embrace of policies that in some ways were regressive. So, for example, when she was Attorney General, and this was my biggest concern, her office fought tooth and nail to uphold wrongful convictions that in some cases kept innocent people in prison. And then I think towards the moment that we are today, and I admit that she's absolutely shifted on this, she did oppose bills or just stand silent on bills that would have allowed her office to investigate officer-involved shootings and mandate body-worn cameras by police officers across the state. When she was a DA, there was a large crime scandal, and rather than concede the corruption in the lab, she fought back and accused the judge of bias because her husband, a defense attorney, had spoken out against the hiding of exculpatory evidence. And while I think Ms. Solis makes important points about her marijuana record in that she didn't send people to prison and jail as other DAs had in the past, she did prosecute almost, I think, 1,900 marijuana cases. Those folks had permanent records until they were wiped away by our past DA. And she declined to support a bill in 2016 that would have made marijuana legal, and she actively opposed the same bill that came up in 2010 while she was still DA. Since she's come to the Senate, she has been on the right side of many, many criminal justice reform issues and has really done a 180 on some of her former positions. So, for example, now she is for the legalization of marijuana. Now she is for bail reform. She was one of the key sponsors and advocates for the Justice in Policing Act, which, had it passed, would have done many important things, including done away with qualified immunity, which is a defense that makes it very difficult to prosecute officers who do terrible things. She would have had a misconduct registry that would have been nationalized and instituted a number of other important reforms. She's taken to the streets after the killing of George Floyd. She has stood up for marginalized people, and she has been a very, very strong voice on the importance of racial justice.